something else in my code.
Sometimes you can create this container, and then just type in readme.
Yeah.
And then there's no dot. So save as type. Let's put that
Right.
So that's it. So here's the readme. So now we go back into, you'll notice this video brings out the Visual Studio is simple this is, and you can, instead of just running through, you make yours bigger, you can actually do it for your we'll teach you that. Okay. Well, let's do it.
All right, we are going to start the class in 30 seconds. Let's make sure you guys are coming to a good stopping point. Close your laptops, and then we'll start the class. All right, good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started for today's class. All right. So see a few people missing. Hopefully, it's the traffic.
Traffic was actually really bad.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, it was.
I was worried I was going to get.
Yeah. Oh, really? Wow. All right. So, Troy, could you please check? There's, I think George is outside, but the doors got locked. So the doors get locked at 6:30. It's like automatic lock. Oh, they were. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have the card, unfortunately. So, but it's interesting that at 6:30 they kind of lock the doors and somebody has to open them. Okay. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. All right. Homework again. Just a reminder. Saturday. The reminder is due. Yeah. So you can submit the link to GitHub. If possible, submit the GitHub pages that you learned. If not, it's okay. We have made it optional for this one. For the next time, you guys have to submit the GitHub pages link. Again, but the GitHub link is, of course, mandatory. The GitHub pages, if you guys are able to do it, submit it. If not, it's okay. But it's mandatory from the second one.
Is that the thing that has our name?
Yeah, as soon as I click, it opens your web page. You have to host the GitHub pages.
I believe it.
Okay, then yeah, submit that, but you have to submit the repository link also, 2 links, because that's how the TAs are going to check your code. All right, we want to see what the code goes behind it. All right, some of the feedbacks again from previous week. You guys give feedback. I know the pace is fast. I try my best not to be this person. You know, I have gone through. You know, it takes a while to understand. But again, this is a boot camp, and that's what we signed up for. It is going to be fast. But when I'm teaching, the topic I'm teaching, I try to go slow or as slow as I can. I have a material to complete. But my expectation after that is that, you know, please go back and do those activities. It's very difficult for me to come back to something that I have already taught. So for example, GitHub, right? By now you will see me. I'm going to be doing something fast because I expect that you guys know how to clone, add, push, whatever. Okay, so it will be very difficult for me to go back and try to explain what I did for the GitHub part. Okay, similarly, HTML and CSS, my expectation after Saturday, you know, next week we are going to jump into JavaScript. All right, I will not be able to go back to HTML and CSS, all right, because my focus would be JavaScript at that point. All right, so you will see me, either I'm going to copy paste some of the HTML, or I'm going to type it fast, or I would have already typed something that is HTML and CSS. All right, I'm going to only live code the JavaScript part. So my point is, it's fast, I understand, but the after hours, class hours, you must have noticed we've been here. Actually, the campus closes at 10, but I've been staying here 10:30, 10:45, 11, whoever is the last person over here. So it's okay. If you have those kind of questions, please keep at for that point during the class or whatever the topic is being discussed. Focus on that. Ask questions about that topic. All right. All right. From these, I've already talked in this one. Don't try to master every little detail. From the first day, I'm telling you this course. It's kind of like you go. I'm going to show you the path, the door. There are more details, and it's not like I know everything. Also, there are a few things in CSS I have no idea. If I look at it, if I Google, I will understand it, and that's the point. All right. At this point, there are many programming languages. I have no idea about most of them. All right. But if you tell me to look at them, I can look at them and I can understand what's going on. All right. I don't know how to type them. I don't know what the syntax is, and that's what the software engineers are. You come to a point in your life as you're coding that they tell you, hey, this is Java, this is C#. I have no idea what it is, but when I look at it, I can understand. And that's what you're trying to achieve in this class also, that you understand what's the basic thing. And then, every detail, I like to do that. I like to get into detail, but then you have to see the time benefit. Okay, if I have time, then okay, let me go and Google and exactly see what it means. All right. But first thing is understand the basics, understand the concept, and then go into the details if you want. Okay. Again, I already talked about we are here for office hours. As much as I try, I still fail to get here at 5:45. I mean, I try to leave at 4:30. I don't know how early I can leave. I left at 4:30 today also, and I got here like 6:15. It still takes a lot of time. But the TAs are here, and I'm here after the class if you have any questions. Try to get them resolved. People ask about books. My advice is, I understand, but if you have enough time to read books, I would say if you can dedicate time to those activities, the class activities, that's sufficient enough. Even if you're putting that much time, it's good. Again, if you have some leftover time, books are fine. There are some other websites you can look. I told you about W3 School. That's a really good source. Code School, they have good tutorials also if you want to watch some videos. These are a couple of books. Again, I will be honest, I have not read them. I've heard about them. But these are some. I saw somebody actually in the class that had this book. Blair had it, yeah. I've heard like really good things about it. So again, this PowerPoint I have already shared, so you can download later on and look at the names and everything. These are all there. But these are just some of the recommended texts if you guys are interested. Again, to be honest, I have not read any one of them. All right. I'm more like a hands-on person, or now in these days just like videos. Okay. Homework is hard. It is supposed to be difficult. All right. It is supposed to stretch your capabilities. Right. We teach you this much, but we give you this much in the homework. Right. And you need to understand that this is the part that will help you understand and get into more detail and see what it is. All right. Class important is the concept. All right. I don't know how many times, and you will care. I said it last time. I'm going to keep saying it. Please concentrate on the concept first. Today, Saturday, is again going to be tough, and I would say please focus on what the concept is. Coding part, it will come with practice. All right. You already guys know about the due dates. Please make sure submit something. You will hear this even in job and you're working as a software engineer. If you're working on a problem for 2 hours, you need to stop and ask for help. I do that, right? 2 hours is kind of set limit that if you haven't been able to figure out in 2 hours, it's kind of difficult that you will be able to figure out something. It doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not smart enough. That's not the case. It always helps if you have a second pair of eyes, look at your code and be like, hey, I'm kind of lost. It might be a small thing and you're like, oh, that was it, right? Either take a break, do something else and come back, or ask for help. I would recommend, if 2 hours you are stuck, please post it on Slack. I've seen people doing that, so please continue that, or ask somebody for help. Don't spend more than 2 hours on some particular issue that you're stuck on. Okay? All right, so what are we going to look at today's class? Today's class I'm going to show you some about CSS typography. All right, this has to do with the fonts and stuff. I'm going to show you how to link into some custom fonts from the websites. All right, we're going to look at some Google fonts. They are particularly popular right now. Then I'm going to introduce you to Bootstrap. Basic introduction today, more details and complex details on Saturday. And the last class and the last part, if we have, is kind of optional. I'm going to show you some pseudo classes. Those are CSS classes that has to do with when you hover over color changes and those kind of stuff. All right. All right. So the typography, the fonts, font size, what fonts to use. All right. It is really, really, really important part of our website. All right. We have a whole new occupation or whole new designation just dedicated for this. You must have heard UI UX designers, right?
Yes.
Their only purpose is this thing. They give you UI specs. I heard those people. I'm just kidding. I'm like, it makes sense to me. No. All right, so those are the people who are more apparently connected to the real people, and they understand that what is more accessible, what is more pleasing. All right, so that's why there are. This is important that when you're developing your website, what kind of fonts to use, what is the right font size, right? What is the right spacing between your fonts? Okay, those kind of stuff that has to do with the typography. So there are few options in CSS. First is the line height. All right, line height is the distance between basically your two lines. So if you have, let's say you have a P, this is your first P, all right, and you have some words over here, right, and then you have a next set of letters. So this would be your line height. It's basically like a kind of spacing between, all right. Font size, as the name says, is the size of your font. All right.
Is the line height the gap between them?
Yes, the gap between. Okay. It's actually a little bit more. I'll show you the next slide. We'll see what it is exactly. Letter spacing. Line length is not actually a CSS property. Line length is more like a standard. So what means is that this line length, the recommended is between 50 to 75 characters or letters, right? Individual letters per line, on a desktop. It's more like a standard, right? Letter spacing between letters. Okay, sans serif and serif. Okay, show you the next slide. All right, I'll come back to the last one. All right, so the same thing that I said, this line height, you see this spacing, it's still the spacing, but it's like covers the whole thing. But if you increase it, it will increase this spacing, this thing, and this thing. All right?
Does that affect your padding?
What is it?
It's the same, almost similar to your padding?
Well, the line spacing is between like the whole text that you write and that goes in your whole P. I'll code it and show you what it is. So for example, what happens is if you have a P tag which has like 5 lines and you put in the line height, it's kind of between the P tag, it's increasing the line height. It's kind of padding, but it's not exactly. Padding is between the elements, yes.
So the way you think about this is kind of like margin between two lines.
Right. That's what Reggie was kind of also saying. From the technical, it's kind of different, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Okay. All right. So the next one was the serif and sans serif. So serif fonts are the one that have this curved things at the end. and sans means no, without. So the sans serif fonts are these. Okay, you will see that the sans serifs are the more preferred ones.
That's
Right.
crazy. I'm just having my mind blown today by so much stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, hopefully you have like 2 more hours of that. It's too early to be mind blown right now. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see what these kind of translate into the code. So let me quickly create a typography folder. I'm going to create a couple of files, and then I'm going to create a oops, that didn't work. Oh no, what happened to my oh damn. I was like, what happened to I don't want to type the whole thing. What happened to my shortcut? Yeah. Alright, let's see. What can I let me type like a couple of P's here. Let me get some auto-generated code. Okay.
Swine.
Have you guys seen the? You guys know the Ipsum generator, Ipsum lorem generator? There's a bacon Ipsum generator also. Yeah, that's what I'm using. Just Google bacon Ipsum. Let me create a third one. Okay. Let's go ahead and give this some classes which I have not written yet. So I'm going to call this paragraph 1. Let me call this one 2. Okay. Right. Let's see. Let's go back here. Let's go ahead and run this. Make sure everything looks good. Okay. Missing my CSS, so let's go ahead and add my CSS file. There it is. Okay. So simple 3 p tags which has text, and this is how it looks like. So let's go ahead and start with a little bit easier one. So we'll start with the font family. It is font family. Let me choose this one. Okay. All right. So you see all the text change. So what font family does is it will load the first one. The second one is the backup, and the third one shows the general family. Okay, the first one is the one that it is going to load. If it fails to load, it will load the second one. What happens if it fails to load the third one also? Times New Roman, exactly. It will default to whatever your browser is set to. Okay. Let's change this to serif to see if that works. Oh, that didn't work. Maybe this class doesn't have it, or I don't. Oh, it doesn't have it. Okay. So Visual Studio is kind of nice. As soon as you start typing, it will give you help with kind of fonts that kind of are standard, kind of go together. But you can mix and match anything. But I just picked the one that was default over there. Okay. So from New Times Roman, my default, I kind of changed that. And then let's go ahead and start writing our classes to see a few more. Okay, let's see the line height to understand that better. So let me put a line height of let's say, okay, you see what happened? So the line height works with the paragraph. All right, it's not like the individual piece. It's more like when you have a p tag, you have multiple lines. If you see my HTML, and it's going to create distance between these as long as it is on the whole page. All right. So within your own p tag, it's creating, giving some distance. Yes.
So it's like double spacing in order for like.
Yeah, line spacing.
Yeah, double spacing.
Yeah, double spacing, line spacing. Yeah, that's how it is. Okay.
One pixel, if that even matters.
I'm kind of used to pixel thing, but yeah, you can put the EM, RAM, whatever the new is going on. Yeah, it should be okay. I'm just picking one unit. Yes.
By points.
Points.
Yeah.
For example.
Like in the word processing, you do it based on whole point font.
Oh, right. So the units, as Reggie was pointing out, is going to be pixel, EM, or RAM. Yeah. So EM, RAM are kind of new ones. I won't go into detail, but yeah, it has to be unit. That's something that CSS recognizes. Okay. Let's do the second one. Second one. Let's try the font. There's font size and font weight. Let's try the font weight. So you see, when you do the font weight, you can pick any. Let's try the bold. Okay, pretty straightforward. You can add bold, bolder, make it bold. That's what the font weight is for. And let's try the font size. Let's make it. All right, everybody can read this.
Dog and beef.
Make it more human size. Oh, there you go. Okay, so that's what these are. Again, this is just the technical part, but again, there's a whole science that goes behind it. Sometimes in real life kind of irks the software engineers how much we have to go through the UI UX people. They give you the exact font, they give you the exact spacing. This is what you need to. Oh yeah, it is super particular, and we have to follow those. But again, I understand it's their job also, and they're more closer to the user experience. They understand what the public is looking for, or what makes it easier to understand. Okay, to me, this looks fine. But anyway, it doesn't work. Yes.
So is there a default line height relative to the font size? So like when the font got bigger, it's more spread out.
I don't know if there's there's as I was saying, right? Let me inspect that. So a browser kind of adds the CSS. Remember from the previous class?
But it seems like it's increasing, not just.
Yeah. So it's probably the browser is doing something. Let's see if they have.
Can you check on your computer in the tactile?
Let's see. We're display, font family, font. These are the one that I said. This is the height. Inline. Yeah, I don't see over here. But looks like, yeah, something is being. Let's see if there's a. Yeah, or it might be. You know what? You remember the font. Like the font size, they come with their own padding or whatever. So as that increases, just adds it to it. That might be the case. Yeah. But doesn't look like the browser is adding any padding on its own, at least from the code that looks like. Yes, Dante.
So can your line height be too small for the text size?
Yeah, you can try that. What's going to happen is it's going to like kind of start overlapping ish. You see, this is what's going to happen. The first one. So I kind of reduced it. You definitely don't want that. No, this guy. You don't even have to be a UX designer to say that. But yeah, it kind of overlaps. Okay. Still true. Yes, I'll keep it. Okay. Any other questions? All right, let's go ahead and you guys try it. And the next activity, kind of go through. Should be a pretty quick one. Try all of these 4 or 5 things. font family, font size, font weight, line height, and letter spacing. Kind of play with it and see if you had some questions. Try to see if they kind of answer those things. Let's take how many minutes? Well, let's take like 10 minutes for this one. Start my timer. And Troy has slacked out the activity also. Same instructions on Slack. Yeah, just make a HTML that I created. That create a sample HTML, CSS. Kind of just make sure you guys know how to code these part out, and you understand that what is changing when you change something.
I was like, it's an activity.
So, since there are
Alright, we're going to start the next exercise in few seconds. Everybody good? Any questions? Can I get it? Okay. Yes, yes.
That's not a font, right?
No, it's a style. Yeah, it's not a font.
that's what you do. You tag it on the ends.
Yes.
You give the style or whatever.
Right. Whatever font it is. Exactly. Yep. Just if you want those curly lines or not. That's what it is. Okay. All right. Let's get to the next one. All right. So we looked at the fonts. We looked at some of the fonts family. Right. Where are these fonts coming from? No. The fonts that we just used.
Oh, it's coming from the system.
From the system, yeah, they're coming from the operating system, right? So it is possible that you build your website on your computer, right? And then you send it off, you host it somewhere. If somebody does not have the exact fonts that you are using, their operating system by any chance doesn't have, it won't load, right? It's going to go back to the whatever the system default is, right? So in this exercise, what I will show you is that there are fonts, custom fonts that some are freely available, some you have to pay. Google Fonts is a really good site. They have some really good and free available fonts that you can use on your website. So let me just go Google Fonts. Go back. So these are all the fonts that are available from Google free of cost. Right? Some of the more popular ones is Roboto. You will see these being used a lot, right? A lot of the UI UX team I've seen are kind of shifting to Roboto font, and they kind of tell you as a developer that start using this font. So this is kind of becoming more popular. There are a few more. So all of these are freely available, and you can use these in your website. All right, and Google says they have a percentage somewhere. I can't find it right now, but they will tell you that these are available like 99.9% of the time, means that the website that you're going to hit is going to be available. Right. So since these fonts are not on your system, what do you guys think? Remember we saw the reset CSS. We were linking it to a website and pulling those out. Yeah. So these follow the same thing, right? These are hosted by Google, and they will give you a link. So let's suppose I want to use the Roboto font, right? You click this plus sign and open this, right? So Google conveniently gives you options. It tells you, hey, if you want to use this font, this is your link. Just put it in your HTML file, and then you can go ahead and start using it. They even give you the code over here, what to put in your CSS file. Okay, I'll show you how to put it. And then you can even customize this. Right now, by default, it is regular 400. Let's suppose you want this one also. You can add these, and then let's go back, and the link changes. So now you have access to both the regular one and the bold one.
There are a lot of, because now that I know, I've seen this on lots of websites.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it really now? You can use this if you want to, right?
Yeah.
Google's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I was saying. That Google, as you were saying, Google's not going anywhere, and a lot of people, they are starting using it. Yeah. Even when I was at Walmart, the UX UI design thing, they were all kind of shifting towards Roboto font. So people are using it. Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Let me give you a quick demonstration how to. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys already got it. You just have to copy this link. But let's go ahead and. Yeah. Yeah. No, you can put that, but if it's not from the same website, where is it going to be from? It's going to be from your operating system. So yeah, you can pick that font also, or if you want from this, you just do a let's pick this one. So if I pick this one, and then you see this link has both of them. You just have to get creative. I'm not sure if there's a way to combine both in the same code, but now you know what you have to do. You have to copy this line and then copy open sans also in the next one, and then sans serif, and then copy this. So you have a backup also. Okay, I'm not sure if Google combines them both for you over here. I haven't seen. Let's see if there's one in customize. Well, you can customize these both, but it doesn't give you as a backup. But you know, we know enough CSS that we know we can combine both of these. Let's go ahead and download both of them. So let me quickly create a, is it inside it? Okay, it's better. Google Fonts index.html and create a style.css. Okay, this time I'm in the right file. That should work. Okay. Let's go ahead and view page tag. Testing font. Make a H2. Let's create one more. Try a few. Okay. I'm going to link my CSS file here. All right. So the next thing I need to do if I want to use this font is I need to copy this link. So I can go ahead and copy this. All right, this goes in my. Before that, let me go ahead and run this. Make sure everything is set up. The test looks good. Okay, looks fine. Let's go ahead and copy this and paste it over here. Okay, so now this link is linked, and it should go ahead whenever I load this. Whenever I do CSS, it should go and load that font for me. Okay, this is what I need. So let me go ahead and copy this too. And let's go ahead and write some CSS. Let's go ahead and update 2 of these. Okay, so this is what they were saying. Of course, there's a syntax issue, so I'm going to copy this, keep this as my backup. Again, the quotes, without the quotes, with quotes, it's still both ways it's going to work. Okay, so I copy that font, Roboto, so it goes ahead, changes both fonts. All right, where are they coming from? They're coming from the Google website, Google Font website. All right, I do have an option, so let's go ahead and change H3 a little bit. This time I'm going to use my second one that I had. Okay, so this is my H3, so it should be this one. Can I change the font? Let's see what I have for font. Wait, to make it bold. Okay. 700. Okay, so let's make it 7. We can make okay. The last one is still the same one that I didn't load. Let's see what else. I can do this also. So kind of change. Did it change? Yeah, it put a I over there. If you see this I, that's where it's coming from. So let me go ahead and embed this new link. Okay, so kind of play around with it and change stuff. The more important concept over here is that there are fonts that are available that are not on your system but are outside, which are kind of hosted somewhere. And how you get it You can use a link that is provided to you to link those. The advantage of this is, again, if you create your website using one of these fonts, it's 99.9 whatever percentage that Google is saying is, you can be assured that that font is always going to load, right? It does now. Your font has left individual laptops and individual operating system. It's actually going and trying to find this font that exists on a centralized located server. It's always going to find it. Okay, I think Roboto was a font that was actually created by somebody who works at Google. I think so. So that's why it's kind of becoming even more usable. But again, for the same advantage that now you don't have to worry about whether this font is going to load or not. You can be sure that any of these fonts that you use is going to load. Yes.
Can you go to static version of that font file to your web server instead of using the
I have not find a download button, but you know what? Go ahead and give it a try. I'll look into it. There is.
If you click
Okay.
on the drawer,
Okay.
and it's up towards the top, the download icon.
This one. Okay. Okay.
And then it will just download with the password.
Oh, there it is.
But like it said in the warning, when that just
Yeah.
slow down your website,
Because it's trying to.
because then it's got to download the font file. And
Right. So what's the what is going to happen is whenever you host your website and somebody calls your website, everything is going to be bundled and everything is going to be sent to your browser. Right? The HTML file, the CSS file. Right now we just have two, but then you have JavaScript files and any extra library that you're using. Everything is pushed to your browser, pushed to the person your client side. So you want to make sure to keep your package minimum. So if you're downloading these, so you can add these up. Everything added up is going to on the network. You know, everything costs. So you can download it, put it, and then send it. All right, but your package when it is delivered to the client side, you don't want to be too big, but there's the option. Okay, good question. Yes, Christine. Oz what? Okay. Right. So any of those follow the same pattern. When you add them at the bottom, you will see this black top bar. Click it, and it will give you a link over here. Okay, it gives you the link. So let's go ahead and give it a try. You guys go ahead now, do the exercise, and what you have to do, go to Google Fonts, pick any font, and then add it, and then it will give you a link, and then it will also at the bottom it will give you how to put that in your code. All right. Yeah, it's the same one font family. You are just changing a couple of things. Again, if you want a backup one, now we are aware, so you can copy this, put it after the comma, and that will be your backup. Or just try individual, because right now it's available. There's no backup, so you can try a couple of them. Create some H tags, kind of put in different fonts and see how they're working. Yes. No, it does not. Good question. It does not matter. Why? Why doesn't it matter? Because I'm not basically overriding anything. Right? The order matters if I'm overriding anything. But if you see my styles of CSS, these are not common at all. So there's no. So you can put it after this video. Yep. Interesting. So I just copied this. I was curious to see what all gets loaded. So this is, if you copy this link and put it, this is what gets downloaded. A text file with all the CSS and everything. Since again, good question, Ellie, that we are not overwriting any one of those, so it should be okay. But if you are doing something, then yeah, then the order matters. The screen or the font? This pop-up at the bottom? This thing? On my screen over here or on your screen? On mine? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can just. Yeah. Oh, you can pick any. You don't have to actually. Yeah, this is how it is. Yeah. Just go to the website and add and it should. Yeah, so let me go ahead and remove all of these. So what I did was I went to this website and I picked this one. There's a plus. Yeah, and that should automatically add it. If you want to customize it, you'll have to open this. Oop. No, it's like at the bottom. Yeah, and then you can copy paste. What happened to my, oh, there. And then it will give you code. It kind of gives you what it is, and then you can copy this link. Since this is the link, it goes in your header for your CSS, right? And then this is the code that goes in your actual CSS file. Sorry, in your HTML, the first one, and the second one. Yeah. And then you can also customize this with this. There's a customize tab over here. When you customize it, be careful because as soon as you customize, the link is going to change, right? It is only going to give you the things that you need. So right now I need 400 and 500 font width. If I go back and I say I want this one also, let's go back, you'll see the link kind of changes. So make sure you're getting the right link whenever you customize it. No, you will only get the ones that you have customized and selected. Yeah. Actually, that's what when I downloaded it, only gave me the ones that I had selected. Just make sure. Let's see. What has the, oh, I selected the, I don't know if I selected the semi-bold. Looks like it's giving a lot more than I selected. You see these? It's giving a, I'm not sure if the ones that I selected kind of come under that category, but it seems like it's giving you more options. We do have a license also. Let's see if it's a, okay, it's an Apache license, so it's okay. Okay. Seems like it's okay to download and use it.
The font they would have their own default fonts. Right? So until we have to change the font height.
Yeah, until we change it. Yeah. And how do we change it? You can use those CSS. Yeah, you can change those. Yeah. Totally. Okay. Well, you remember there are like few options. If I style this way, it's going to keep the CSS for all my H1s. And then you can also have a class. In the previous activity, I did a dot para, dot para.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
This was a simple example. That's why I should. Yeah.
But you could.
Oh yeah. You can totally. Yeah. What was that last part? Oh no, it's not necessary. Yeah, it depends on use case. No, it depends on your use case again. If you are going to be reusing this font over and over different places, then I would definitely use a class.
But because it's so basic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you try that? I was kind of curious. Did you try that?
I didn't.
Oh, you
I
didn't?
kinda wanted to.
Yeah, this. I mean, how can you not?
It just looks
Right? Is this so looks so appealing? Why would you not use it?
It's gonna be in my portfolio.
Right. Scan. Oh, you know what? What's the code for this? Did you try it?
Focus on that.
This is how I talk. And it's crazy you said that the guy made that robot. I remember when I started seeing that everywhere.
Yeah.
I was like, why?
Who will start something? Everybody gets on that. On that thing on the background.
Yeah.
All this becoming super.
The robot died on the side of that. Oh, this is. Bright colors, outlines, believe it. What's this all? Hammer. Swine.
Oh, so you see, you have like two font families. So this is how it is giving, but you can only have like a one font family. So remove one. If you want two, then you have to put this as a backup like this, or put the font family in a different one. Try to remove one of them and see if that makes a difference. Let's go back to that. They both are on the same. So it's not able to find the style. We have link, well, and no one. Oh, no, there's no style. It's in a different. You have to read over the
Yeah.
open. Oh, did you try the barcode one, Blair? No. Oh, that's okay. I was like close. Hold on, guys. I just want to try this now. Oh, look at that. Testing Google font.
Our part's getting that spacing right now.
Oh,
Just looking like one big black square.
oh, yeah. Ah, this is the right font. There you go, 60 PS. Oh yeah, next homework is to create a whole site with this barcode now.
What?
Still on talent. That's part of it.
Maybe it's all like cold, but it doesn't look like a barcode.
Yeah, yes. Did it work? Okay. What was that?
Oh,
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I sent a streaming link. I usually do it, so you can. This lecture is being live streamed on my YouTube link, so you can watch it from outside or anywhere else. Yeah, on Slack. Before the class begins, I kind of send a link, and this is for people who are streaming.
So even if I tried to be class already as president, I would.
It's okay. All right, everybody good? All right, let's go ahead and start the next one. All right, let's come to a closing point. This is a totally new, different thing. Let's make sure. We did this, we did this. All right. Looking good here. All right, we've been looking at, we looked at CSS, HTML, we started with that. Again, both of these are the language of the web. All right, HTML kind of gives you the text and CSS gives you the style and all that stuff, okay? With just these two programming languages or technologies, you can create a website, a static website, as I said. It will look nice, but it won't do anything. You know, you will have images and all that stuff nicely styled. If that's the purpose, then yeah, you can use both of these and you can come up with those. The last one is JavaScript. We'll look at that next week, but JavaScript kind of adds more actions to your website. All right. We already saw this before also with HTML. It's kind of only text, unformatted, basic text. And we use a reset.css to see the real face of HTML, right? It just literally just text on your browser. Then we looked at CSS. CSS provides that nice, pretty images and fonts and everything, right? But CSS is difficult. I hate CSS. This is exactly how CSS is, right? You guys are,
This is so real.
right? Yeah. That's the response I was looking for. Yeah, that's how CSS is. Okay.
Drama.
Right. Yeah. So you guys are doing a float, and this doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. But let's look at this page. Let me see if I can pull this up here. This one. Okay. Oh, come on, what is running? Oh, this one. This. Okay. So this is a web page code behind it. And what if I told you that there's actually literally no CSS that I have written for this page?
I'd say you're
Yeah.
I'd say it's changed.
Yep. So literally this page, of course there is CSS, but there is no CSS that I have written, you know. Okay. For this one, let's go ahead. Can you guys Slack out activity 10? Yeah. So before we begin introduction to Bootstrap and all that stuff, these guys are going to Slack out the HTML file that exactly generates this code. Take a look at it. Work with somebody, your neighbor, partner, work together, and try to figure out where's the CSS in it. All right. They're going to Slack out. It's going to be one HTML file, which will say Bootstrap powered something, and then go ahead and run that file. Your page should come up something similar. Okay, and let's work in a group. All right, work with somebody, try to discuss and see what's going on. Where is the CSS coming from, and how are you guys able to get this without adding a style tag or a external, well, I shouldn't say external, but like a style.css file? Why is it just literally one HTML file that's there?
Everyone's like, what's going on?
So go ahead and figure this out. Take like five more minutes, and we'll go on a break. We'll start back on at 8 o'clock. All right, we'll start back at 8 o'clock, and we'll discuss where the CSS is and how to use it.
Oh, is it just this?
So just so you know how there's the link tag in there,
Yeah.
and then it says href. Just take the link that's in the href like student classes after.
Yeah, we'll do
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, it was kind of like optional to say that
And
you
then
guys
you'll
signed
see.
into it. So.
Oh, those are just the high priority ones. Gotcha. Okay. So you don't have to write. Open it up and tell me what you think about it.
Oh my god, I love
So
it.
I guess we just want to do that.
Numbers and letters. I live for this. Oh, it's so long, dude.
No, it's
Long. Why is it all jammed together?
Because it's actually not written in like CSS, it's written in SAS, and then it's compiled down into CSS from the browser. Yeah, so not yet. You don't speak it yet. I mean, it makes CSS a lot easier.
With some sass too, I like that.
It's like using jQuery for JavaScript. You'll be able to do a lot. Yeah, it's like an expansion. It's something that's built on top of it to make it easier to do more complicated things, from what I understand.
I've seen that. It's just like being in code all the time. Like I've seen a lot of these things, but I just I don't care. Now I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm like 2 sides. Developers always hate the marketing side. Not like
Become a true full stack developer.
yes, full stack.
The ultimate full stack.
Get myself a hat.
Like, here in the back.
That's my biggest pet peeve. It's like 65 on the freeway. You're absolutely right. It's more. It's less safe to do this than it would be to speed.
Already, see, I got a job script file in my assets. Like, I'm already
You know why?
more with less.
That, this, that. You're like, I know what's going on. I know what's happening. Yeah, that's why
now they have more courses for it.
I only got so much knowledge.
You will make the same amount of money. And I was a crash. Yeah. But if you get experience, okay? If you get experience, you can go back to doing money.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Literally sat down at a computer.
Yeah. I got into digital marketing a long time ago, and we do like experience. I'm really like experience. You come out of school, you do a master.
Just like really more like you learn a lot.
There's no excuse. But like this, yeah, you get like at like a faster pace than all you should be able to go and accomplish if you don't know that you're I can do it.
My roommate's teaching himself.
Yeah.
I was like, luckily, it's pretty
It's simple.
But the cool part is once they start teaching you, I don't know if I can play around with it.
Yeah, so it's linked to the bootstrap.
Numbers start dropping. Bind together. Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, it is cool. It's so hard. Nah, it's real. Okay, we start on that one. I know, right? Like, you gotta use the Google developer? Oh, yeah. Oh, you do. Yeah, mine has been too. Where it just, you gotta click different boxes. It's all laid out.
Yeah, it's there, it's just not how it's defined.
Yeah, like you just have to click.
How's it going, Dave?
Good. Randy, good.
But kind of interesting. I just like if you click that right there, you can like click the element, and then it'll show you in there. And then if you click it there, it'll show you. You got a lot to do.
He said, well, a lot of screens is bad. Not necessarily, I actually agree with it. But admitting it is also all I know so far, so I don't know what's going to
Well, what is your
Why? I haven't
get out?
Yeah. And I kept going back. And yeah, and then I was like, and I figured it out. It took 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it took 5 minutes. Close it off and see, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you have so
Yeah,
you
it
have
does.
that one, then it allows you to go in there. And yeah, if you just click it, it shows you exactly what you need to do. And you can go over there and turn it off. And you see what changes what. Then they're gonna break it, so you can like turn everything off.
Because then you remember you have to go back into the
Yeah. Changes your life.
I was looking at it, so I could see the code,
That's basically all I want to do. Cool. I just like this. Ask you a question really quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I did this. I just don't know why this looks like that. Like it's not like fitting in there. And you see like how that little like white line is under there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that's like that.
Do a right click inspect and you can see. Inspect. You see, there's a click this arrow. Scroll over there. Yeah, come down a little bit. Yeah, click here. It's your something over here. The name class. Are you doing something here that is causing that?
Oh, is it a border?
There you go.
Oh, okay. Why did I have that border? Okay. Well, then one more question since I'm here. What was it? Oh yeah, like why is that? That's like up stuck at the top. Like I had it working, and then I got a code for the sticky footer on there, but for some reason, like it's like up there, and I have it aligned at the bottom. So it's right here. Yeah, I mean I have vertical aligned bottom. I mean I don't really understand why.
So it's kind of going up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I was trying to put it at the bottom or at least in the middle so it looked normal. Because I know if I make the height smaller, I mean, then it fits better in there. Like, 40. It fit, but it doesn't really.
What if you add do you have a padding?
No.
No, put a padding here. Padding top. Yeah, put like 10 or anything. 10 Enter.
Oh,
There
it did.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was just.
Yeah, it's probably just not padding here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Right click inspect. That's your best tool.
Yeah. My bad, I'm sorry.
All right, guys, let's get back to this. All right, so you guys do this exercise. What do you think? Where's the HTML coming from? Oh, sorry, where's the CSS coming from? So this is the code that you guys are looking at, right? So there's no CSS file that I have written, or it's in this solution, right? So where is it coming from? The link. So when I first look at it without any knowledge, seems like there's an external link or external CSS that I'm going to, and I'm pulling all these. Where are these classes? Oh, I'm showing you the wrong example. Okay, this is better. So where are all these classes coming from? I still have the same thing, right? I have the classes. So this tells me there's still some CSS involved, but none of this is in my code. It's somewhere externally linked. All right? You kind of good with that concept? Let's see what it is. So it's all these Jumbotron classes, text center, all of these. These are kind of, reside somewhere. They're on a different server. Let's see what it is. All right, so this is what we call a predefined CSS style. So what it means is that somebody else has done the hard work for us. We are just kind of using those CSS classes to achieve the same result. All right. So let's go ahead and see. So what is Bootstrap? Again, Bootstrap is a CSS library, I would say, which is written by Twitter. Twitter was having issues with their interface. There are, it's a big office. There are many people working on different projects, and they were saying that the alignment between different projects, there were different UIs, right? Somebody was using this font, somebody was using this font. The color scheme for Twitter wasn't the same. We'll see some different libraries, like Facebook has some, Google has some. Twitter came up with this concept that they came up with one universal CSS that they said everybody in Twitter working over there is going to use this one. And this kind of aligned everything, their concept, their theme, everything was kind of similar in every project, right? They went one step further, they open sourced it, so it is available as a product to us. So let's go ahead, and if you go to Bootstrap site, you will come to this. All right. So by definition, what it is, it's an open source toolkit that helps you take the predefined CSS and implement in your websites, and then you can have something similar without actually writing any CSS at all. Okay. Right. Bootstrap kind of goes further, but we won't look at it right now. They have some more components that are kind of more action oriented, but you need some more. If I say action, this means JavaScript is involved. But for now, for beginning, we don't have to look at it. But Bootstrap is freely available, and you can go ahead, you can link it, and then you can start using their components. Okay.
So in order to get
yes.
the free like Twitter, you have to download this.
You don't even have to download. I'll show you how to get to it. All right. Okay. Any other questions? All right. So you see the advantage is somebody has done the CSS. We're just using somebody else's classes. We saw in Reset also. We saw in Google Fonts, somebody did the CSS for us. We were using those fonts. Bootstrap is kind of similar, right? You are externally linking, and we'll be seeing a lot of libraries. First, I'll show you the what we call vanilla code, like vanilla JavaScript or vanilla CSS. This means that everything is in pure language. Like the CSS that you guys have been working on is this assignment is actual CSS. There's no external library, nothing. All right, now we're kind of shift there in each technologies. There's always going to be some easiness, but we need to learn the basic foundation and then we jump into what is out there. Okay. Yes, Matt.
Is that link at the bottom for the program that you just part CSS and Bootstrap?
Link at the bottom.
At the very bottom of your HTML, there's like another Bootstrap link is for that navigation.
This one? Oh, those link in the code. Yeah, that's also part of Bootstrap, and I'll go over it. Yeah, let me quick. I'll show you what it actually is. We don't have to use it right now. It works without that also. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and they have a get started. Let's see what they have. And this is a really good documentation. Anything that you're looking has to do with Bootstrap is going to be over here, right? I'll show you a few components. How do you start it, right? And then what my expectation is, go ahead and look at those components individually and see what you need, and then start using those. Again, for this assignment, please don't use Bootstrap. It's for your next assignment, all right? So let's see what it says. It says quick start. The first thing they say, they are giving, you remember Google Fonts, they are giving a link over here that you can copy. Oh, no, I can skip this. Oh, there you go. And then you can copy this link just like Google Fonts and use it in your code. All right. These things, Matt was asking about the JavaScript files. You guys must have seen at the bottom. Right now, you don't have to worry about that. We don't need it. What they're used, I said JavaScript are for some actions, right? They have some components like alerts and something that performs some action. If you are going to use those, then you need this. For now, even for the next assignment, you don't have to worry about it. We haven't looked at JavaScript. We'll look at jQuery and JavaScript, and you kind of get the idea. But if you want to use some of those, then you have to put this. And they have mentioned exact instructions that in your body tag, they go at the bottom. You have to put this script, put it at the bottom of the body tag, and then that's where these two things will go. Well, three things. All right. Again, if you want, they have also defined, these are the components that are making use of this. All right. Alerts, buttons for toggling states, checkbox, carousel, collapsing. You see, all of these are kind of actions. When I press alert, something happens, right? But till this point, we haven't looked at JavaScript or anything. So our HTML, CSS, most of these components will work without you even using these. Okay. But Matt was asking, so I'm just telling you guys that there's an option, and they have defined all the options that you are going to use that will require these. All right. For now, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to use those components. First, let's get used to the basic ones and see what they provide. Okay. Again, going over here, documentation, components. So these are all the components that are available to you. All right. This is a really good documentation. They even have all the code that goes behind it. Now I'll show you how to use this. Let's suppose buttons, right? They have all these buttons available, and this is the CSS that you can use to create those buttons. The big box that you saw is called Jumbotron in Bootstrap, and with this code, you can generate this screen. Okay, let's see how we can use this. Let me show you a quick demo. Okay, before I show you this, Bootstrap, if you read the documentation, they are mobile responsive. This means when your website is rendered on a mobile phone, tablet, or desktop, kind of your divs and everything kind of gets aligned. All right. So this takes a little bit of effort, and we'll see more details on Saturday. But I would just want to let you know that Bootstrap is mobile responsive. So when you drag, drop, when you kind of change the browser window, it will collapse and it will, you know, get bigger depending on what speed you are.
So as
Okay.
long as you have a link to the Bootstrap file, automatically detects the div and just moves them around, or you have to do other stuff?
You have to do other stuff. Yeah, it's not as simple. So yeah. So today's basic Bootstrap I'll show you, kind of easy. Saturday's class is going to be, I'll show you how and how it does it and how do we use those, whatever the mobile responsive is. We'll look at that. Okay. For now, let's go ahead and let me show you a quick demo. I'll open this. Let me close this one. All right. So let's go ahead and create a Bootstrap. Same thing, index.html, and then I don't need a CSS, so I'm not going to create that. Okay, here's one more thing from the documentation. Let's go back to the, okay, this thing, responsive meta tag. We'll see this more on Saturday, but if you see, Bootstrap is saying that if you want to make sure that Bootstrap is mobile responsive and everything works correctly, you need to include this meta tag, right? The good thing is when you create from Visual Studio, you see this meta tag is already there, so you don't even have to worry about it. We'll see on Saturday what this means. We'll break it down when we look at the mobile responsive and how the media queries work. But I just wanted to point out that this is already available. If you use a template from Visual Studio, it automatically puts it over there. Okay, it's kind of a required deal when you're using Bootstrap. Good thing is it's already there. Okay, so the first thing is, it says I need to put this link if I need to use it. All right, right now I don't have to worry about JavaScript because I'm just using the basic, the other components that do not require any action. So I go ahead and copy and literally just copy paste it. Okay, where is, this thing on the top, meta name viewport. We'll see what it exactly means, but what I was trying to tell is that Visual Studio, when you do the shift exclamation mark enter, it automatically adds it over there. So in the Bootstrap documentation, they have mentioned that this is to support the mobile responsive part. They have mentioned this part, but for us, we already have it since we're using Visual Studio and already adds it. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and look at some components. Let's start with Jumbotron. So I'm going to just let me run this. Okay. Empty. I don't have anything. Let me put it over here. Okay. And I copied that, paste it here. Format this. You see what I did? Just literally copy pasted this exact code that they're saying. Okay. And this is what, no changes, nothing necessary, and this component should go. Okay. First thing is go to CDN, whatever the link for this is. All right. You have to add that in your CSS, just like Google Fonts and reset we saw, and then follow the directions that they're saying. These are all examples. I'm just going to show you the examples. I'm literally just copy pasting this stuff, okay, from the website. You guys can do the same thing. Now, what we do is, you can see, since we have good knowledge of CSS and HTML, we kind of can walk through this. So they started with a div. They have a class Jumbotron. So that's probably the one that is creating the gray outline. Then they have a H1 and display 4. It seems like this is another class, CSS class, that is doing this. Hello World, so it makes the font bigger, kind of puts a default font over there. And then you have a lead or a lead class for your p tags. So these are my p tags. So it looks like it's changing the fonts, making it lighter, smaller. You can kind of guess now, right? You see what's happening. So you, without even looking at the code, you kind of guess, okay, this is what's happening over here. This button, right? Oops. This button. So there's a button class, and there's a primary class and a large class. So it seems like this is adding this blue color. We can change this, So let's go back here. If I look at the buttons, and then they have a documentation over here. This is the one that's currently being used. If I change it to secondary, let's change it to it kind of changes the color. Whatever they have like predefined colors. Okay. Now since there is CSS code, this is the link. I like to see what's going on, so I'm just going to quickly show you. If you copy this and paste it in your browser, it should open up the exact complete CSS file that they are using. Okay, it's not seems like very human readable. So what you do is, if you go on the top, this min, and you remove this min, you will see this exact CSS file much better. Okay, so you see these H1 tags, everything is open source. They have, you can actually go and see what code they're using, what fonts they're using, everything, right? So quick thing before that. All right, what's the difference between the min tag? When I remove the min from the top, it kind of showed me this. So min means minification. All right, as I was talking in the previous lecture or previous slides, you know that everything, all your files are kind of sent over to your browser, right? There's a bandwidth, there's a limitation, right? Everything goes in bytes and bits and goes to the network, over the network, and that gets to it, right? So if I have these spaces, what's happening? I'm adding, these are all bits and bytes, all right? So this space, it's easy for us to read, but you're adding, it's actually you're adding more weight to your file, right? You're adding more bits and bytes, right? So minification is a process. What it does is it takes out all your, basically your white spaces, kind of shrinks everything together. Why does it do it? Because for computer, it doesn't matter if there's a white space or not. It can still read this exact same thing if you're following the syntax. So it doesn't care about these white spaces and all that stuff. So by minification, what we do is we kind of remove these spaces and reduce the file size. Right? You see what's happening? So all is this string. Computer will still read the same thing. They exactly know where to break because that's how the syntax is. Right? So what we do is we take out the white spaces. White spaces is the basic thing for CSS. When we get to JavaScript, there's a minification. JavaScript files are minified in a different format. They have a whole algorithm. It kind of even reduces the names. All right? But for now, simply definition, if you get asked what is a minification, that's what it is. And what is the advantage? We need to reduce our file size because everything goes over the network, goes to your browser, right? If you have a website which has like it's not minified, it's a big size and all big files, it's going to slow down the loading of your website, right? So that's why we have the minification process. This was just like a quick thing so that you guys know what this min is. But anything that you see min, if you remove it, it will actually load the basic human readable one. So here we have the exact code that Bootstrap has it. Yes, sir.
So can you add min to a URL that's already active?
No, there's a whole process. You have to download some library and it goes through a process. And we'll see they have some external libraries that you include. And then when you're ready to host your website, you kind of go through that process and somebody goes and takes all these places and all. You can do it manually and you can sit and start doing it. That's the human minification process, actually. Yes.
And kind of like a regular style sheet. You can have multiple, just will load the very last one, multiple bootstraps.
Multiple bootstrap files. What is that? The JavaScript ones?
For the CSS.
For the CSS, there's only one bootstrap. This is the only bootstrap file. But you can add your own style.css, and people do that. You will see that. All right, I can totally add my own link. Let's suppose if I had a style.css, I can totally do that. But what is my purpose of doing it? Something I don't like something from Bootstrap, I can totally override it in my style.css and it's going to fix it. And it's very common, right?
Search through that style.
Yeah. Or you know, I just don't like the Jumbotron how it is loading. My company has a blue background or something. That's my theme. So what people do is they download the Bootstrap and kind of modify it. It's open source. The license says you can do anything with it. That's why they have the code. So a lot of the time, this is a good starting point. But again, let's suppose the company you're working, their theme is more like a light blue, and they will get your UI team says this is what you need to do. So what you do is you download This thing, go to your style sheet, replace the color with what you want. It will override it. Okay, this is a real life situation. It happens a lot. Yes, ma'am.
Do browsers cache CSS?
What is it?
Do browsers cache the CSS? Like if somebody goes to a Bootstrap site,
Uh-huh.
and then they go to your Bootstrap site, is the CSS already loaded so it doesn't have to go through it again?
Ah, that's an interesting question. So you are saying if I the code that I'm showing over here, this thing. Now if I go to this, well, if so your personal browser, if you go over there and then you go to my site, that might be a possibility, but it doesn't affect anybody else. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I haven't tried it, but could be that if it is caching and then it goes to the same link. Yeah, interesting. Yes.
So let's say you
Agreed.
want to add another button to your,
Oh yeah.
your page.
So
Just copy.
let's go ahead and add a. Open this. So it's going to add a new button. Yeah. Yes, Jay.
So what if you first the right?
What was that?
How would you first the right since it's all free?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So again, that's for Saturday. I don't want to get into it. They have. That's what I was saying. This is the easier part. It's called a grid system, and we will look at that. That how do you put your components? If you want to look ahead, it's called Bootstrap grid system. It's a little bit difficult to start with. It has a learning curve, but once you get it, you will know exactly how to float and how to do that. Yeah. You don't actually even have to write floats and all that stuff. If you understand this grid system, it will handle those things for you. So you want this primary button somewhere on the middle, right? Yeah. Yeah. Grid system. We'll look at that on Saturday.
Can you go back to where you found the
Again, so type in Bootstrap, come to this site, right? Get started, and then these components, and they have good example. Let's see the forms. All right, so they're saying if you can create these forms also, right? HTML has forms, so and then I have these forms over here. Okay, so you can get forms. Jumbotron, we saw. Oh, navbar. They have this navbar. That's kind of cool too. So this is the whole code behind this navbar. Okay. So if you guys are doing your, let's suppose, homework or assignment, you want a navbar, start with this, and then look at the code, try to understand what's going on, and then cherry pick. Okay, I don't want this one. I don't want home. I want to change this. If you understand this code, all right. Again, we can start from the top. I have a navbar, so I see a navbar over here. So this means this is the code that is for this part. Then I have these buttons: home, link, drop down, icon like this. Oh, home is over here. So this is if I want to remove home or I want to rename home. This is where I would do something. All right. Link is here. All right. Kind of look into those classes and see what you want to do. If you want to remove the search, search is somewhere down over here. This one, you can remove this whole thing and your search will go. Okay. Let's see what, let's see if there's a content. No, this was it. Okay. Card, this is another kind of popular one. What this does is it will show, you guys must have seen in some website kind of show this card. They have an image over here with details, kind of Pinterest kind of deal. So they have that also. This is how it would look like. I don't have an image. So you see this dot, dot, dot. You have to replace this with something, right? Put an image so it will come up over here. Okay. Any basic questions? Any questions about Bootstrap?
So if you have
Yes.
errors, I could actually change one of those classes.
What was that? If you have?
Like if you come up over an error or something, like something's not organized, why could you? Because you can't change those class names, right?
Oh, you cannot change those class names, but what you can do is you can totally override it. If I have exact this, let's suppose if I have a CSS file, and in my CSS and then I name a class like this. So what's going to happen? It's going to be overridden. Yeah, so you can totally change that class. Yeah, you cannot go to the exact bootstrap this link and do anything over here because it's hosted on their side, but you can totally override this class and put in whatever you want. And this code is available, so you can kind of look into it and see, oh, what is happening over here. Okay, this is what is happening. Kind of don't like the width. Maybe you want to reduce the width, so you can override the width and change it. Yes. What was that? Coordinates? Importance, yeah, the exclamation mark. Yeah. So what Jay is saying, there is an importance level. What it means is anything that you add, let's say font size 64 px and then exclamation mark. That's what you're asking, right? Yeah. So this you will see this a lot of time also. Exclamation mark is saying that, you know, if there's a property that is somewhere else defined, ignore that, and this is more important. So always load this.
Even if this file loaded first.
Yeah, even though it is loaded, if there's an important one, it's going to load this one. Yeah, it's kind of priority, right? This is what you were saying. Yeah.
But if you do your CSS file second, the HTML, it'll overwrite it.
Right. Yeah. So this is a again, you will see this exclamation a lot of time, but kind of people don't prefer it. The reason is if you put this, it takes precedence. So if you're trying to change something, right, and it's not changing, you are like, what's going on? It's probably somebody has used that exclamation mark and kind of blocked it from doing anything. So there are times where the use case, but again, we don't talk about it more often, but it's kind of not like a less standard practice. You know, there are better ways to do it.
It would make it hard to debug.
Exactly. That's the reason. It's hard to debug because somebody has used it now. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know where this is. Why it's not changing?
So would that make like the class override the ID instead of the other way around with the
Class overriding that.
Like
Yes, something like that. Yeah, it just takes that. This is the most important thing. You know, override everything and just take this. Yeah. Jay mentioned it, otherwise I don't even mention this part. Yeah, it's kind of bad practice. All right, let's get back to Bootstrap. I forget about this I mentioned. All right, any other questions? Yes.
This might be an off-the-wall question.
Okay.
But we're creating web pages from scratch. It seems like you can just go to any site and get the template of it and just work from there.
Yep.
Is that normal practice for people to do, or is it starting from scratch on their own?
Again, it depends on where you're working. Lot of, if it's a like, you know, startup or like a small company, that's not their basic. That's not their IT is not their thing. You know, they're like, okay, you know, Bootstrap, use it, change it, right? A lot of companies, big corporation, they kind of don't want to kind of depend on it, and the reason is right now the license is free. I get it, right? What if tomorrow Bootstrap decides, oh, I'm going to start putting up fees? Nobody wants to get into it. Could be a far-fetched reason, but you know, it happens. A lot of the time, what more use cases, companies will take it and then heavily modify it, right? It gives you a good starting point, but these colors are limited. You see, there are like only like 5 or 6 colors, and the intention is the same. They're not expecting. They never thought that nobody's going to use any more colors than this. This is the only thing. Nobody else can use anything else, right? That's not real life, right? So every company has a different color code. So what we do is that this is a starting point, and then they will override these and kind of change the theme. Yeah, that's the more I've seen that, you know, people kind of start with it and then they do it. So here's what I read was like 20% of the websites on the internet kind of still use Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is heavily used. 20% is a lot comparing to websites. So 20% or around that number, websites are using Bootstrap, and they have a nice. I think. Let's see if they kind of advertise what websites are using. Somewhere I saw. I can find it. Usually there's like a place where they mention that, you know, these are the websites that are using all our components. But yeah, a lot of websites use Bootstrap. Okay. Again, Bootstrap is not the only CSS outline in town. If you Google, there are a few more um, companies who have kind of given you themes and all that, so you can also use those. But Bootstrap is a more widely used and mostly known. That's why we're introducing Bootstrap over here. But there are definitely more other kind of predefined CSS. Okay. When it comes to projects, and in the projects, one of the requirement is that you use a library that is not studied in the class. I've seen a lot of people try to find alternatives to Bootstrap, so that's how I know that people have used those in the past. I can't remember the exact names, but if you Google Bootstrap alternative, there are a few more. They kind of serve the same purpose. But the more important is the concept that you are using somebody else's CSS as somebody else's defined. Okay? Any other questions? Yes, Scott.
Is there an easier way to switch or identify the different classes instead of looking at the main file or the raw text file?
The best way would be looking at the component that you're using and then see these files. That's If you actually want to look the code behind it, then that's the only way that I know. That if you are really curious to find out what button primary is doing, then yeah. I don't think they have like a exact documentation. At least I haven't found out. If you guys come across, then let me know also. But I haven't found like a documentation where they're mentioning each one of their CSS files. You see over here, they have mentioned all the components. Yeah, this is kind of different. Yeah.
What is that? Is there a way to load it into VS Code?
Oh, VS Code? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like the attribute pieces that you have?
Right. So there's the other way. If you don't want to link, you can download this whole thing on your computer, right? Let's see if it downloads. So they actually have, you can download the compiled CSS, or you can even download their source code and kind of take a look at it also. They have both options. When you download, what will happen is, how do you include it? You just put it in your, let's see. You see they have these CSS and all, so I can just drop here, yeah. Folder. So now my Bootstrap is in. Come on. Okay. Let me do it the hard way now. Oh, sorry. No, where is it? Okay. Great, it just like moved it on the top. All right. Okay, so now I have, I downloaded the Bootstrap. They gave all the CSS files and everything over here, right? So you can exactly do the same thing and look at it. You can download and look at it in VS Code. And you can also link, since it is now on your local, you can just link this in your link, and then it's Bootstrap. CSS Bootstrap CSS, yeah. And then you can look at the so this is the main. Of course you don't want to see this one, so you can look at this one. and it should have all the. You can fully download it and start using it on the same day. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, so why don't you guys go ahead, take 15 minutes and look at the Bootstrap, either download it or link it, and then look at the components and try to use some of the components, see how they're working. You have nav bars, forms, drop downs. Give it some try, kind of get used to it, see what they're doing and how they're working. What was that? Yeah, you don't have to go to that link. Yeah, you can link it to your local where you download it. Yeah, just as I did it, so I moved this, I downloaded it and kind of moved it inside my folder. Right, this is my project, so I moved it over here. No, it's already created. Everything is there. You don't have to create anything. If you open this folder, which you downloaded, you have a CSS and JavaScript. You just have to link the right files now. All right. So in this one, we are using bootstrap.this one. So this is the file that you want to link. Okay, the one that you downloaded. So what I did was I went here, right? I created this line over here, right? Same thing as you would link your style.css. So right now my folder is called bootstrap this slash css and then slash this. And then you get. Again, downloading and putting in your projects the same disadvantage. Everything will be sent over to the network. Same with the Google font thing. So usually you don't want to like download and include everything in your project. Oh, but here's the thing: you can since you already have it in your local, you can modify the Bootstrap file without even overwriting anything. Since you already have it on your local, you can modify the Bootstrap file, and then it will work as you want. Yes, yeah. But what they do is they modify and they host it on their somewhere so that you don't have to send the whole file. Yeah, that's what they. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I just want you to, look at the components. Let me see what. Navigate. Oops, there it is. Copy the link and then just create some components. Basically, just a website. Yeah. I just want you guys to be comfortable using Bootstrap components at least before we walk into the Saturday class. No. Just the bootstrap.css will do. Yeah, don't have to worry about the JavaScript part right now. Unless, as I mentioned, if you look at the first page, there are components. If you're using those, then you need it. But right now, the Jumbotron or forms and everything, buttons, they don't need JavaScript. So you can ignore that for now. Oh yeah, this Saturday I'm teaching, so I'll be here. Yes.
You can't use those words like we or this.
V as in the whole class.
V
V as in the whole class. Yeah. No, I'll be here on Saturday. Oh yeah. Inside the code.
lot about CSS. I did do a little bit. I have practiced a lot, but I'm not a graphic designer or anything. I just like before coming to the class I was preparing, I had a lynda.com subscription, so I did a whole bunch of I did their CSS courses because I felt like I had got it and I had a good grasp of it. Yeah, so like, and I followed around a whole bunch of stuff like on Reddit. Okay. And where, let's see, I found it's just CSS.
I've seen some crazy stuff with just CSS.
And I'm like, and they posted like a YouTube video of them. So it's like, they have like Visual Studio Code and they've got like the live server down there in the corner. And it's just like,
so what's behind it? Like what is the animation tags and all that stuff?
I would assume so. It's just crazy. Like, that's all the HTML.
Oh yeah, HTML is small. The CSS will be, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've never going to be crazy. Let's see. Oh, it's only too bad. I thought it'd be a lot worse, but
okay. Yeah.
I just thought it was so cool to see it because you just saw it like building on top of itself. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff you can do. That's why I was asking because there's a couple of one or two like every class with the graphic designer they're like always super ahead and they're like, hey, can I just pass it my assignment? I'm like, sure.
Yeah. Like when I've been doing the CSS course, they mentioned a website called Grid by Example. Okay. So I knew a little bit about the CSS grids and about that, and I'm like, okay, I know I can lay stuff out with the grid, so we'll do that.
I mean, so it just has all these classes already set.
Fair enough. What's your?
That's all it is.
Okay.
So this is, I mean, do you always do inline then? Inline. Yeah.
Right, if you're just using and you're happy with the format. What do you mean inline?
Well, like in
class,
I'll do it.
the classes, those are always going to be like this. Inline to me is when you write style within your HTML.
Right. So let's go back to
that's it.
So does it look like you have the CSS link to?
Well, no, yeah. But I'm using it.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
That's what I was saying. Inline is when
so if you
No.
I said
yeah.
Stop changing it.
Can you put color?
So
you can just hit copy
I don't want to change it.
and then you go back to HTML. Just underneath. When all the other
Yeah, when you talk technical,
when all the other programs say
I know. You were looking at me. What are you talking about?
I heard it line and I was like, man, that's the thing that we're not supposed to do.
Right, exactly. That's what I said. What? Inline? Bootstrap is inline? How is it?
Don't do it. Okay. I like that. It's cool.
Does all the other so keep
This makes me want to do so much.
yeah, so keep in
For
mind
this
that.
little portfolio.
So it's a good use it as a template and changes. But for the sake of the example that we're going to class today and also on Saturday and probably throughout this week, just look at the structure. Probably be more than and then you can also start it's just a good template to use to get started with.
That's pretty nifty.
It's good, right?
Yeah. Especially, you don't like working with CSS.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it at least gives me a starting point. Then I can modify a few things.
That's kind of what I like about it. I can
Yeah.
see like where my head's at. Like, oh,
Right.
okay, well I like that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
This is great. Now I understand why so many sites are bootstrapped. Like
Exactly.
me being just in SEO, like always looking like look for certain things. I'm not like carrying my there.
Right.
But now I'm like, oh okay.
Yeah. What is this bootstrap?
Everything is bootstrapped.
Spinning in a bootstrap
Yeah,
basis.
so you have to go, so if you.
So, the shortcut for writing out what you use to help the so this is bootstrap. Actually already CSS.
So you don't have
The JavaScript links, you basically paste in
Yeah, so now.
there you go. That's you'll learn those are super lazy. Any shortcut that they can take and make to make your lives easier. There you go.
So
yeah. Yes. It's all ready to go. Use that. I always use that. Anytime I use Bootstrap, I always use it for starting. So
like even with now, still doesn't do it.
No.
Java's
Like,
but see, that's the thing though. Initial homework, I always really understand the structure of the second homework, you will use Bootstrap, but that's the
I don't know. You're not telling me anymore.
six parts of the assignment. And they'll give you responsibility. So you can see it on mobile devices. So Bootstrap.
but wouldn't that be a
So we'll go over it more. But the whole response but also medium is how you get the whole responsive aspect. It's usually
British over it.
How would you, y'all go over here?
Yeah.
So when you make a change, you post it.
Oh, wait. One question.
No.
Hey, Kyle, looks like your where is the plugin? I want to try it. I searched for Bootstrap plugin in Visual Studio. And it looks like they have somebody else has built it.
Like a snippet for Bootstrap?
Yeah, yeah.
So I know I just figured out how to do it on a Mac.
Okay.
And if you go to do it yourself, if you click on code in the menu bar, and then preferences, user snippets, then you can tell what language you want the snippet to be available in, so like HTML. Since you're building, since it's going to be an HTML file, right?
Okay.
And if you go there, if you just click on that, it's going to open up a JSON file where you can put in your snippet. You can actually, I found out somebody made a snippet generator.
Okay.
Where you can just put in the description of your template and what you want the shortcut to be, and it's right there. So,
Oh, okay. So it will download the whole thing.
so you can just copy and paste it.
Okay.
If you use the snippet generator.
Right, right. So what he was looking for is, for example, over here, right? If I do a button, this IntelliSense comes up and I enter everything. So he was looking for if there's something for Bootstrap, like instead of remembering these classes, if I can If I can just type in something like this, maybe there's a display too. I don't know, but if I want to find out, so that's what we were looking for. Yeah. So I haven't used this, but if I go into plugins here and I search for Bootstrap, looks like they have some kind of plugins to help you write Bootstrap. I haven't used this yet. Looks like you can add this to your Visual Studio, and this is how it works. Again, I have not tried it, but they have a video over here to see what it does.
So Daniel, like earlier when you were doing the font, you mentioned you didn't want to like add that to your system so yeah, right? Wouldn't this do the same thing if you so it's not expensive?
You download it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you link it.
Bootstrap.
Yeah, it will make your package bigger because now this whole library is going to go with your every time you post it, you host your website, this whole library is there.
Yeah.
So the use case for this is what people do is they download this file, right, and heavily modify the Bootstrap CSS directly, and then they host it on their company site or something, and that's where in your index.html that's what you're going to hit instead of the Bootstrap. Right now we're hitting this Bootstrap site, right? Stack.bootstrap.cdn.
So every time someone clicks it, it's also clicking that site.
It will go, yes,
Yeah.
it goes to this site.
So if you did have it on your computer, then you would be every single person that's trying to go onto the website would come here.
No, nobody will come over here. So you will download Bootstrap, modify it, and then you're going to host it to a similar service. Usually company owns it, and then the website will change to https. Suppose you have a server.com. So that's where everybody would be.
And why would that make it slower?
Oh no, this is not slow. I was saying if you download it, and then instead of going to this website,
Yeah.
you say go to my local like this.
Yeah.
This thing now when you host it, what will happen is it will go and look for this folder on your host, right? So this folder is going to be part of this package,
Yeah.
right? So then what it is going to do is going to bundle up everything, all of these files, and then send it to your client.
Okay.
And that's not what you want.
Okay, and then so is that different?
Exactly same thing. Same thing. Fonts, this thing, any other library that they have we call them CDN. If you have a CDN, that's how you do it. You're actually using Ruby down. So anything, fonts, Bootstrap, and any other library that we see. Some of them you have to download and do it, but like these linking part, wherever there's a link, you should try to use it. The only disadvantage is if this goes down when your website is not using it. Usually they say it's up 99% of the time. That's the only risk.
I don't know what.
How much what?
I was like, I don't know if I'll use that information to understand, but I was
No, it's good to know. It's good to know. If somebody, if you're working somewhere and they say, hey, we like the format, but we don't like the theme. So it's better you go download it, change everything over there, and then tell them, hey, this is the one, but host it somewhere so that I'm not sending you a whole package. So that's good to know.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what we do. We add. It's
Right.
kind of like that.
All right, we'll take a few more minutes and we'll look at the last topic. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just take a screenshot and.
That's what no one else posted, so I was
Oh,
like,
no one has posted.
wait, no. You can't have that.
Yeah.
I thought everyone was being a
Yeah, screenshot of the I don't know. No, I know.
All right, guys. Let's go ahead and cover the last topic. Any questions on that? Everybody okay? Linking, using components. Good. All right. All right. Let's look at the last topic, and we are going to put a break on Bootstrap. This is going back to the vanilla CSS, the original CSS. Okay. It's kind of optional, but I want to cover this topic. Okay. All right. So this topic is called pseudo classes. All right. Pseudo classes have to do with some of the kind of animation, little bit of animation, but usually it's you see what is uh, active hover. So when you hover over a link, right, it kind of changes the color. When the link gets focused, or when your button or any component gets focused, kind of changes the color. All right, you've seen those things in websites. So those all come from the pseudo classes. All right, it has a different syntax. I'll show you I'll write the syntax in a bit, but that's what they have to do. So the syntax goes something like this. So you have your HTML element, all right, without the tags. This is like an optional thing. That's what I'm putting. And then this goes in your CSS. And then you have colon, and then you have your pseudo class. Right? What it translates to is, let's suppose I have a link. So I have a HTML tag A, right? And I want to use a pseudo class, one of these. I have active, any check there, like a lot of different options. Let's say hover. And then my CSS goes here. Okay, so this is the syntax for pseudo class. Again, these are predefined names. These are the ones you can use. I'll cover like basic ones that are more commonly used, but there are a few more here after target, Michael was showing me an animation that was done purely with CSS, and that was done using these pseudo classes. You can post that link in the code, that would be nice. Yeah. So let's look at some of those basic ones that are more commonly used. I'm going to start with my folder here. I'm going to create, it's a pseudo class. Create a HTML and then a CSS file. Okay, I'm going to start with a basic a link. Let me set this. So click sudo demo. Okay, and I'm going to create a basic a link. All right. I don't want this to go anywhere, so I'm going to put a hash. So it will just stay. If I click it, it will just stay over there. Okay. I'll just add some text. Okay. Let's go ahead and run this. Make sure this is running. Okay, this is how it looks like. Right, let's go ahead and let me make it a little bit. What was the question, Reggie, again?
If you didn't click quickly,
Yeah.
you link to the title.
If I didn't put, you are saying if I don't put this?
Yeah.
Like this? Just,
Oh, you
won't have anything. Okay. Go back to our CSS. Let me increase the font size. So let's make it this. It's not changing. Why? Awesome. I didn't like my CSS. Oh, there we go. Okay. You guys can see it clearly? Maybe. Alright, let's look at some of the, so the syntax was the element, and then I'm going to use the hover. Shows over here with the little description. Let's change the background color to, okay. So what this is saying, if I hover over it, it's going to change the color. Oops. See? Let's change the focus. So what should happen in the focus? Huh? How do you get a focus here? Tab. You see this focus? There's the tab thing. Yeah, tab thing. Focus is when your elements get focused. And how do you get focus? When you're tabbing through a form, you're like tabbing through it. Yeah, changing. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So much
I know. Yeah. Let's see, what example did I have? Active. Background color to. Oh, it's already blue. Let's see what Google gives me. Oh, sorry. No. Okay. Blue wall. Let's try this one. So this says active. So active is when I click it. See, I'm holding down the click thing. Right. What is it? Yeah, it only changes when I'm holding down. Yeah. So there's a which one is the one that visited? If you use a visited, if you click it, then it's always going to be that color. So a visited background beige. Beige. I can never go back until I clear my cache now. It's always going to be this. So that was the last example. So don't ask me. Yeah, I have to clear cache. All right. So this is how the basic pseudo classes work. Now there are a lot more. I said. Let's see. There are any, check, disabled. Of course. I've only showed you the more common ones that kind of make sense, and a lot of people use those more commonly. But there are a few more. I haven't used other than these or a few more. The best way I would say is let's look at the documentation, CSS pseudo classes. Let's see if they have a. Oh yeah. So they have all the description over here, what each one of them does, if you guys are interested. But remember the basic syntax. Again, it's HTML element, colon, and then one of these. Okay, and this can go with anything. It's just not with a tag. You can use button. You can use H1s. You can use any HTML tag. Yeah, you can use class tag. In it, basically, you are putting your CSS. Yes. No, these are kind of defined. You cannot use anything that is not in this case. So if you actually see, you are actually defining your own thing. If this is just a tag, it's not doing anything. You are saying if whenever it is active, change this to this. So you can totally change the way active works. So that is basically kind of what you are saying, that if I want to change this active, this is what you are doing. Right. But these are like predefined pseudo classes. So if it doesn't exist in this list, it won't work. It has to be one of these pseudo classes.
But if I want to use active on any HTML tag, I could say this is an active tag.
So what you would do is, let's suppose I want to use this in H1 also. So I would say H1 A active. So it will use like on both of them. Or you would say H1 active, something like this. So you can like totally style everything. Okay?
Are some of these only good for certain things, like the hover?
Yeah. Hover is only good for hovering. That's a good question. Hover is only good for hovering. Alright? Alright, go ahead and try. Give it a try. This is the last exercise of the day. Yes, question. Yes, HTML element.
So if you wanted to just do like a class,
right.
You would just replace the A.
Let's try that. What is it? Dot a class. Right, this is how you do the class thing. And then let me create a new link. I don't want this to go anywhere. Click. Let's make sure. Let's change it to easier one. Let's do hover so that we can clearly see it. This is what you're saying, right? Yeah. It only works with class or elements.
work with
ID. Man, you're demanding too much. Yeah, let's try with the ID. So let's place this. So how do I put ID here? Just change this to ID. That's it. I have my this. Totally works with ID. All right, give it a try. Michael has posted a link. It's kind of cool. If you see, there's a animation, and if you look at the code, they are using all the hover pseudo class. Oh, not the hover, the pseudo classes to actually come up with that animation. It's kind of cool.
I posted two links. One of the video of them making it,
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
and then the GitHub video or the GitHub link.
Yeah, please watch the video on your own time. Right now to the class.
We're all watching the video.
It says
Wow, half a minute to do that?
7.5 minutes.
7.5 minutes. All right, you guys work on. Let me go ahead and give the finishing remark. So Saturday, I'm going to be here teaching, and we are going to be looking at layouts, layout building, and using Bootstrap. We'll look at that. Saturday's class, again, it does have a learning curve. Bootstrap kind of looks easy, but I'm going to show you how it comes to that, the mobile responsive thing. There are some responsibilities on our side, and that's how they lay out everything. So we need to understand how the grid layout in Bootstrap works. Again, as I said, initially it's kind of tricky to understand, but once you get it, you'll be like, this is how it should be done. And that concept is important because using that concept, a lot of websites, even if they don't use Bootstrap, they use the grid layout. It could be a variation, but that's how they go by. Basically, it's like a rows and columns, and we'll talk about that on Saturday. Remaining time, work on this exercise. The rest of the time, if you guys are here, work on your homework. If you have any questions, let me know. But this would be the last exercise of the day. All right?